Hello, thanks for joining us on the 6:15 primetime newscast in the English language on Canal the International. Thanks for joining us. My name is Gladys Sabodiba. Stay tuned for our major stories. Journalist trade unions and associations in Cameroon are calling for the immediate release of Philemon Ballet, a sports journalist and football management expert who has been in detention at the Fako Gendarmerie Company for the past 4 days. In spite of negotiations for his release, defense forces continue to keep him in detention. And the administration of criminal justice during conflicts remains a bone of contention to many magistrates and lawyers operating in the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon. And so, to better grapple with the equation of protecting victims and witnesses, the Justice Ministry and the United Nations Human Rights Office for Central Africa is arming the legal minds on how to protect victims in times of conflict. You have details right ahead. Hello, thanks for joining us once again. You're watching the 6:15 primetime newscast in the English language. Journalists, trade unions and associations in Cameroon are on their nerves following the continuous detention of a sports journalist, Philemon Ballet, who is equally a football management expert. He was arrested since October 8, 2022 and detained at the Fako Gendarmerie Company in spite of negotiations by the union and association leaders. He has been accused of withholding a Facebook page account password belonging to Victoria United, and management of the team is insisting he hands over the passwords before he would be released. You have details of the stories in our subsequent newscast. And let's talk about the abolition of the death penalty in Cameroon. We have civil society associations, civil society organizations as well that have joined Pope Francis to call for the abolition of death penalty in Cameroon. They were meeting in Cameroon's economic city, Douala, on October 10 on the occasion of World Abolition Day for death penalty, and have called on Cameroon to emulate the example of Equatorial Guinea. The details in the following report.
Cameroon's Criminal Procedure Code, adopted in 2016, still upholds the death penalty, especially for terrorism-related offenses. However, no execution has been recorded since 1997, although hundreds of people remain on the death row. Abolitionists believe justice is discriminatory and the death penalty needs to be abolished in Cameroon.
Nobody has the right to remove the life for any other person.
There are judicial errors which we must admit. Justice is discriminatory and does not render service to the population. That is why it must be abolished. Some innocent persons end up with death sentences simply because financial constraints could not permit them hire a lawyer to defend them.
Meeting in Douala on the occasion of the 20th edition of World Day Against Death Penalty on October 10, abolitionists expressed regret that the right to fair trial at all stages of arrest, detention, and fair trial is frequently violated, adding that without access to legal representation, due process cannot be guaranteed, reason why some innocent persons end up with death sentences. They are therefore calling on Cameroon to emulate the example of Equatorial Guinea, which has removed the death penalty from its legal corpus.
And the administration of criminal justice during conflict situation remains a bone of contention to many magistrates and lawyers operating in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. And so to better grapple with the equation of protecting victims and witnesses, the Justice Ministry and the United Nations Human Rights Office for Central Africa is arming the legal minds on how to protect victims during conflict situations. The details with this report put together by Henry Kejangatembe.
The protection of victims and witnesses in criminal justice is backbreaking, especially in crisis situations where judicial oversight is usually breached. This is the onus of magistrates and lawyers practicing in the southwest region of Cameroon as they meet in Douala from October 11 to the 12th, 2022.
General fear now. A crime may have taken place, people are afraid to come and testify because they live in war zones. A typical example, Munya, my 16. You are afraid that if you open up, you yourself will be subject, you'll be victim of some of the excesses of those rebels.
It's difficult as most of the victims, you find it difficult to even get to them. Some are being threatened not to even say what is happening. Those are some of the challenges we are facing. And while in court, the trauma they are going through, they find it difficult to even express themselves.
The apprehension by the magistrates and lawyers of the situation will eventually lead to the protection of victims and witnesses who are afraid to testify in order to facilitate the administration of justice in conflict situations.
It will be an opportunity to facilitate victims and witnesses to be able to give their testimonies without any fear of threat or reprisals.
The conclave is organized by the Ministry of Justice in collaboration with the United Nations Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Central Africa.
And seedlings or coffee seedling producers from the east, west, northwest and littoral regions who have been supplying seedlings for the past 4 years without payment have staged a strike action in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, that is before the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. Today, Tuesday, they are asking for the payment of their money. The details with Moko Some.
They feel the wait has been too long after 4 good years of supplying government with seedlings.
We have plunged into debts. If you look at it very carefully, you see some of us might not survive. If by December the government doesn't settle our bills, I think the next thing is we go behind bars. Because the money we took in 2019, 2020 to produce these seedlings and give to the government, the debts have been overdue.
They fear what awaits them if nothing is done quickly, as they took loans to keep supplies steady.
The government has not been able to respect the terms of the agreement. Our money has never been paid.
After 7 attempts to be heard, nothing. Reason for this mission today, Tuesday, in front of the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development in Yaoundé, coming from the west, northwest, east and littoral regions begging for their arrears.
Last year, May 17, 2021, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, authorized the Minister of Agriculture to pay our arrears.
They caught the attention of the minister's representative, and after an hour of discussion, they left with hope that if in 2 to 3 weeks nothing positive,
promised him that if in 2-3 weeks we doesn't get anything positive from him, I think all of the pepinierists will storm the building, not with war, but to have our money and nothing else.
The pain even much, especially as their counterparts of the cocoa subsector have received your money.
And we now talk about CEMAC. Lack of finances is one of the major challenges rocking of the institution of the smooth functioning of the Central African Economic and Monetary Community. The CEMAC Parliament opening the second ordinary session via video conferences on October 10, 2022. The examination and adoption of the 2023 budget was one of the salient points raised by the President Hilarion Etong. Beatrice Gamo with more.
holding their second ordinary session via video conference, context of a plus, according to President Hilarion Etong. This especially with the uncertainty linked to the refraction of financial means, amongst the many other difficulties. Tangible proof of the regular functioning of community organs and institutions. During the last August the 2nd video conference bureau meeting, the discussion on the examination of the community budget for 2023 started. Its adoption highly awaited. Like the budget, their discussion will also look into the text on a new single regional body to replace the Economic Community of Central African States ECAS and the Central Africa Economic and Monetary Community CEMAC, issue raised by the CEMAC Commission of Daniel Ona-Ondo. CEMAC parliamentarians need to look into this issue also, seen as a springboard. With 11 countries together, it is believed will expand trade, market, improve cooperation, regional stability, and the gross domestic product of more than 283 billion previewed. This is to have a region that is more integrated, efficient, and strong to compete with other regions, the goal. This and others, the discussions of the second ordinary session of the CEMAC Parliament this October 2022.
And we have publishers and authors from Cameroon and Africa at large who have embraced the new generation trend of decorating book covers with the African designs like the Togo Ndop, as well as cowries. Sherifa Sali visited some libraries or some bookshops in Cameroon Economic City and put together this report.
An attractive book cover is not only eye-catching, it also tacitly represents the book's underlying theme. The first illustration of the covers in Africa is a question of identity, because through the first covers, we can get an idea of the author's origin. Current book sales studies are proving that textbook covers radiate strong and captivating messages to readers. And the current generation of Cameroonian and African authors in general are steadily embracing the Africanization of book covers with local traditional motifs. With this new trend of book covers, readers can rapidly master the context of the book. This stands for this stands for that, and that he can have a movement that drives African ideas. It's not racism, it's just a quest for identity. According to publishers and authors, the main objective supporting the trend is to give their works of art an African identity, insignia including pieces of the grass-fields, royal regalia like the Togo, the Ndop, and cowries.
And it is with that report that we wrap up today's edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. The French edition will be yours at 7:50 p.m. with Alain Gisler Kanga. Up next is Debrief de l'Actualité with Lil Piejo. I will be yours again same time, God willing. But then, stay tuned to programs on Canal International.